first off, I guess we need to know who can register to vote. So I'm not going to read this. Do you want me to pass this out? Yeah, that'd be great. Have to be a U.S. citizen, have to be 18, not right at the moment, just by the next election. And that's something you need to clarify for some people, because they'll be like, I'm not 18 yet, but as long as they're going to turn 18 by the general election. They only have to have lived in the precinct by 30 days prior to the general election, and that's something that's come up too with students. They say, oh, I'm just a Purdue student, I can't vote here. Well, if you will have been here for 30 days by the election, you definitely can register. And you can't be currently incarcerated, but you can have been released currently incarcerated, is that previously? Something like that.
Right, you can be a felon who's out but no longer in jail.
Yes, there you go.
In some states that's not the case.
Right, some states you lose your right forever, but not Indiana. That's one way we're kind of a little bit progressive. Registration window is about to close for the primary. It closes tomorrow. So,
What time?
I really don't know. Anybody know?
What was the question?
When the window closes tomorrow? Yeah, but is it tonight or noon? Well, to be safe, check your registration today and have your friends and family check it too, and we'll go over how to do that here in a little bit. And then the window is going to be closed for a while. It'll open back up on May 22nd, and that's what Lisa mentioned with the next Mosey. The window is going to be closed. I think that's all we need on that. Where you can register, I mean, these are options. Generally, when we're registering voters, we're at an event, and we're going to lead them down a couple different paths that I'll talk to you about. We're not going to send them to the DMV, or the DMV that you guys ordered. So, my problem with registering people was always, I would ask them if they were registered, and they would give me an answer, and then I wasn't exactly sure what to do next. So, Lisa and I kind of came up with this. I know it looks really confusing, but hopefully it's helpful in the moment. This little flow chart. So we want to ask them if they're registered in Tippecanoe County, not just if they're registered anywhere, because that's important, because we want them to be able to vote here or to make sure they're going to vote where they are registered. So I'm going to go through this really fast. You have it in your hands right now. And then I'll explain what these different paths actually mean. So we ask if they're registered in Tippecanoe County. They might say yes, or I don't know, or I think so. That's where we're going to send them to indianavoters.com, where they can check really easily. They might say they're registered, but like in Fort Wayne. We can go a couple different paths there, which I'll come back to in a minute. If they're not registered, we need to ask them if they're going to be 18, and we need to ask them if they are a U.S. citizen. And if they say no to either of those, then we can't talk to them anymore about registering. If they're registered in another state and they're planning on voting there, we can send them to TurboVote, where they can request an absentee ballot, or we have forms too, don't we? For absentee ballot? For just the state. Okay. I believe on TurboVote they can get for any state. Probably. It looks like you could. So for the two that they're not registered yet, or they are registered but they need to change their address to a different Indiana address, if they have their Indiana driver's license or an official state ID from Indiana, we can go to indianavoters.com or to TurboVote, and they can change their address or they can register right there.
Oh, there's an app.
There's an app. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. There's a website and an app. If they do not have an Indiana driver's license or don't have it on them and they want to register right then, if they know the last 4 digits of their social security number, we have the federal form that they can fill out and register with us.
Excuse me, and there's no way to do that online, a federal form. It has to be paper.
Yes.
I believe it has to be paper, yeah.
So if it's postmarked tomorrow, maybe by noon, or that's totally too late?
I do not,
You have to turn it into the county. I don't know. We have the mailing number. So we turn that in.
I would think if you turned it into the office tomorrow, that should.
Because I just met this person on Friday, so I'm thinking, and he's like, okay, I'm trying to get into it, but I don't think it's gonna get done tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like a whole group of people.
Yeah.
They get really organized for meeting 22nd.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go through kind of what these different steps are, but basically you're either going to tell them to go away because they're not eligible to be registered, or you're going to send them to indianavoters.com, or you're going to use a federal form, or we're going to send them to TurboVote. So indianavoters.com It's also .gov, either one will get you to the same place. If they just need to check their registration, all you need is your name, your birth date, and the county that you live in. And you'll see that you're registered. You can see all your polling places. You can even see a list of candidates. It doesn't give you any information about them except their party, I believe. But you can at least see who's running and see who you need to research or what positions you want to research. If you need to change your address, then you still need your driver's license number. If you need to register, you still need your driver's license number. But you can check it without needing that. Okay, so this is what the website looks like. There's the register to vote and the check your registration. This is what the phone app looks like. And we were talking about this might be a good day to find out on your phone or install that app on your phone just so you can be checking with your friends and family today to make sure that you actually are registered if you think you are.
Was it at home or phone?
I think just look under Indiana voters,
Just indianavoters.com will get you there.
or on the App Store.
Yeah.
I think I just looked at Indiana voters.
Because I've got here, so it's called.
Let me know if you find it. This I just found out about. Indiana voters. Indivisible has teamed up with TurboVote, or TurboVote turned it with them, I'm not sure how it happened, but there's an Indivisible TurboVote that you can go to. You're automatically signed up to get information about the candidates. It kind of steps you through. It looks like a pretty easy process to kind of walk you through the registry. It does, I mean, it is linked to Indivisible. So if somebody's interested in Indivisible, they want to know more about the candidates, they want reminders of when to vote, you know, need to vote tomorrow or whatever, you can get that from TurboVote.
So TurboVote uses the IndianaVoters.com website, but you go into TurboVote and you can sign up for reminders for voting. So the great thing about TurboVote, if you can get people on it, if they're interested, it's a get out the vote tool, because it sends reminders to them, like, hey, voting is in a week, or voting is blah, blah, blah. And then once you sign up, it takes you to the IndianaVoters.com website to do the regular.
I think it even gives more detailed information, like this is where you should vote, and like where you can't vote,
Right.
depending on where you are at.
Right.
Typically, it's anywhere in the room.
Right. The problem is, or the concern is that some people may not want to do the turbo vote and give all that information, they just want to register to vote. So if someone says, you could do a couple of things. You could say, hey, do you want reminders to vote? I would send them to the turbo vote. If they're like, no, I just want to register to vote, don't bother me with all this stuff, just send them to Indiana voters, and better they're registered than not registered. So, yep.
But the turbo vote is an option. The federal paper form, which you should all have in front of you too, that is,
Some would give to some people.
some of you have it.
Does anyone want one? That doesn't have one? It's just the paper form, we're gonna practice.
This really we only want to do if they don't have a driver's license or a state ID and can't register online. Because if they register online, they're registered, we're done, we don't have a paper form that we have to do anything with. With the paper form, we have to get it turned in a certain amount of time. So we would rather do online. I would rather do online. Do it all. So, has to be in black or blue ink. You don't have to put the whole social security number, but you need the last 4 digits. This is just a whole list of stuff that can go wrong. Basically, it needs to be legible. All the information needs to be filled out, except you don't have to do box 7 or 8, which is your political affiliation or your ethnic group. But everything else needs to be legible and in ink. And all the boxes have to be checked. The top part of the form is generally all you'll fill out. The bottom part is if there are special extenuating circumstances, if you're changing an address, if the person doesn't have a normal street address, you can like draw a map down there and show where they live, so you don't have to have post office address to be able to register to vote. It has to be signed by the applicant.
And it's also for people who change their name.
Yes, or change their
Who
name,
might be
anything.
registered under, and,
Yes, that would be done too.
I think B is the one I use the most, changing address, especially with Purdue students.
Yeah, a thing I've noticed a lot too is, they aren't required to fill out A and B if they change their address, and people always fill out A and B. You just have to fill out B if you're changing your address, as long as it's valid up top.
And we turn these in to the County Board of Elections. They get a card. You can tell them to look for the little postcard that shows that they're registered. I know my son just registered not too long ago, and he got his little postcard. And if they don't get it, they can check Indiana voters and make sure they're registered.
That's why I say especially again with Purdue students, I don't know, the Board of Voters guide says, you know, your current address and where you sleep at night, where you put your head. And Purdue students have to, it's into their dorm.
Right.
Not going to be find that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to kind of put it together.
And also, if it's a Purdue student and they are already registered, but it's at their home address, you need to find out if they've got an absentee ballot, if you find out how to get that, or if they are not planning on voting there and they want to vote here, we need to get the address changed. We can do that on the form. All right. I think that's all I've got. Is there any other questions?
So was the address in the database as well? So that they know they can change their address and don't remember?
Yes, if you, the Indiana voters,
Right,
yeah, it
so
will,
they can look it up
They
and
can
say,
look it up
oh,
and
I'm
see
not
what address.
registered here, but I sleep here, so.
yes, and they can change that right there on that site too. Just have to type in their state ID number.
If we're using the paper form, it's like a job application, right? Nobody else can write on it,
Yes.
the person filling it out, we
Right.
can't make notes or.
You should not fill anything out for anybody, no. Good point.
You can assist someone, but you have to, at the bottom,
Right.
sign.
You have to sign it.
You have
Sign it.
assist.
Okay.
But you can't assist. I don't know.
If they are in, if they're
Only
missing their hands, you can pull it out.
Okay, but you have to document that, make sure. Right, that's all I have.
Awesome. Nice, thanks.